What the hell is going on, YouTube? Boy, it's been a long time since I posted a video and everybody said, we want an update. Well, let me show you what I decided to start getting into. So yes, it's been a little while. I do have the GTX with the 587 I rebuilt. Just needs to be cleaned up, but she's waiting. I got to register and stuff. So what I did was, remember I bought this one with the trailer, and it had the yellow motor in it, and that thing's pretty nasty inside, but I'm getting to that. Now here was the yellow motor, and the problem I had was it was running a little rough. I did show in the last video it was running, but it was running rough, and I started chasing a whole bunch of stuff thinking, why is this thing running like this? So then I figured out I got a little more of a problem. The rotary shaft, or the rotary gear, brass rotary gear, which goes in the motor, and it goes right into here, and it runs off the crankshaft, which turns the rotary valve for each cylinder. Don, where's the gear at? Here's the problem, if I can see. Let me see this gear. So here's the brass gear. Check that out. That thing is like shot on one side. And I realized that once I took all that off, took it out of the jet ski and was turning the crank by hand, and realizing that the rotary shaft was only turning sometimes. And I thought, okay. So what I did was I took the, where the hell's it at? Here it is. So I popped this thing out. This is the shaft. I took the gear off of it. Now I can buy a shaft on eBay for 74 bucks. Or I can buy the brass gear for $31, and I could pop it right on there, take the clip off and put it right on and be done. And then I just got to pound that back in. Well, here's the problem I'm having now. Well, first off, Don, my brother-in-law, had a great idea. So this was the one motor. This is a 657X that I got with the package that I knew was messed up, but I said, I'll keep it for parts. I took one of the cylinder heads off. The other one I busted on here. So I'm going to throw one on eBay and get a couple bucks for it for somebody that needs a 657X cylinder. And I thought, okay, so Don says, well, why don't you take the rotary gear out of this one? Which is very feasible. I might do that. So I got to get they make a puller. I made a homemade puller to get mine out with a bolt, and I used a piece of PVC here. You put it over, and you make like a puller. Then that didn't work, so I used this socket, but the bolt's not long enough because I broke half of it off. So I got to get that out, and I could use potentially that brass gear. So on top of that, I also decided to take apart this green motor. The green motor came with the package as well, and I thought, well, this thing could have parts, whatever. So I took this apart and realized this has been bored one over with one over pistons, and the cylinders look good. So I have a spare set of cylinders here and a spare head, because my head has a tiny crack. I already took this off, but I got the bolts back in. Mine's got a tiny crack on the corner and it's dripping water out. Will I replace that with this head? Probably. Or if I'm going to run mine and see how long those new cylinders last on the engine I rebuilt, then I could put these on if something happens and have one over pistons. I'll take it for free. I paid for it, but at this point it's just leftover. So what I have to do to get this, now I'm not sure if you can see this. Let's see, we'll turn this. I got to take this entire motor apart all the way to the crankshaft, all the way out, because in there, I'm not sure if you can see that, you probably can't, that gear has brass pounded all inside the little threads from that brass gear stripping off. So in order for me to make sure this isn't going to blow up, I need to strip this thing entirely, split the case, and take the crank out, clean all that out, start over. And this head, like I said, when I got this, the top end was all redone. He put new gaskets on here, he put the new O-rings and Permatexed it. So I do have some extras, because when I bought the piston kit, came with a kit for yellow 587s here. This place is a mess now. So I got all kinds of crankshaft seals. I got, gaskets here for the magneto housing, the heads, so I can take that all apart and start over again with new gaskets without putting all the gaskets back on. So that's where I'm at right now. I put new lights on the trailer. Brand new lights. Probably going to get it registered next week. It's got new tires and bearings already on it, as I said before. The GTX just needs to be cleaned up, but she's ready to roll. How it runs in the water, I have no idea. I got to find out, what it's like under a load with the increased back pressure of the water. And then these two hulls here, once I figure out if my hull is okay, these are getting tossed. There's a aftermarket ride plate on this one, an aftermarket pump on this one, and a good steering cable. So I'm going to take that stuff off and put the ride plate on this one. Once I clean this thing up, this is going to be the wife's. I mean, this one, I'm not going to do anything to this until I get this motor running, tear it apart. Then I'll take it back out and I'll clean it, because I have new motor mounts to put in. I'll put those in before I clean it, put the motor back in. But yes, this is a little gooky, but I'm tired of cleaning stuff and then not using it. So I'll clean this up when I know that the motor is going to run. And that's where we're at right now. A little bit of an update. When I take this apart, when I get this 587 yellow apart in the next few days, I will show you the inside. We'll take a look at it, see how bad the brass gear is. The shavings were all in there. And at that point, we will... I also got some of these to put on eBay here. I got the 657X head, cylinder head, and coolant head, as well as the carburetor, intake manifold, and oil pump, cylinder head, exhaust manifold, and flywheel. I'm going to throw that stuff on eBay. If anybody is interested in it, just holler if you want it cheap. I'm talking cheap. But that's it. We'll see you next time when this comes back around. My driveway is a mess full of parts. I got to clean that up, and the no seams are eating me down here in Florida. So thanks for watching.